So let's start with the important or more interesting part, the services we have in the LANLink or Ethernet portfolio. So LANLink is just our name for Ethernet portfolio. So it's not a term used in the market, it's just a term we use in Colt, LANLink. So the first product is LANLink point-to-point, where we just connect a location on the A end to a location on the B end. In this example, we have London to Madrid. So you know how we can connect the sites here. Could be one side over ULL, for example, the other side over fiber. And then we have our network in the middle, where we just switch the circuit until his destination. We can provide the service locally, national, and international. And also already said an on-net, EFM, all leased line, speeds up to 10 gig. In the metro with the new platform 2 to 6 gig, of course. And we have, well, presentation is possible depending on the service, of course, with normal electrical 10, 100, and 1000 base T RJ45 connector. You certainly know that. You have that on each, or every computer has that, or every router at home you have. Or you can have these optical connectors for 1 gig services, 1000 base SX or LX, and for the 10 gig services as well, optical connectors. The difference between S and L is, well, you know that? S and L?
Short and long, short range, long range. It's a difference exactly. of one is with 850 nanometers and another one with 1310 or something like this.
Exactly. Yes. You told you everything. So this is for shorter in-house connection. This is really good. This is suitable for longer distance, even over a few kilometers. This is just for SX or SR. It's mostly just for in-house, and it's cheaper from the cabling because the fiber is not that expensive. The wavelength, as we already told, is 850 nanometer, and for LX or LR is 1310. Exactly. There's a good Wikipedia page explaining Ethernet. There you will see all possible connectors for this technology. There are more than you see here. So that's really nice to see it once, just for your interest. Okay, so the first product was the point-to-point connections. The next one is the LANLink Hub and Spoke. Oops, sorry. The Hub and Spoke, I don't know why this is disconnected, but okay. Oops. But anyway, with the Hub and Spoke, this was the starting point a few years ago with Ethernet for different locations. Instead of having just connection, a point-to-point between these two locations and one other here and one other on for the third one, we just have one big hub which has, for example, 100 meg, 1 gig or 10 gig, and from that point we just can talk to the other locations which are connected over our network. So this is a good way to connect different locations to one big main site, let's say.
Is it any to any, or the different location can only talk to the hub? The
exactly.
Can only talk to the hub. We cannot do spoke to spoke.
Exactly. With hub and spoke, these two locations are not allowed to talk to each other. If they want to talk to each other, they have to pass through the hub side, and the hub side must permit that they can talk with a switch or a router or whatever. So that's an advantage and a disadvantage, depending on what the customer wants. Mm-hmm. If the customer would like to keep the control over these sites, who is able to talk to each other, then this product is pretty good. The disadvantage, of course, if he
latency, most probably.
Yes, it's not possible to talk to each other directly, so he has to make some efforts here, some configuration. And in addition to that, and we'll see that later on, the customer has to mark the packets with so-called virtual LANs, VLANs, to talk to this location. When he orders the service, he has to define with Colt, for example, that this location uses VLAN number 101, this 207, and this, let's say, 705, just that he can talk to them. As soon as he wants to talk to one of these locations, he has to mark the packets he sent with this number. Colt then knows, okay, this is 201, so we'll send it to that location, and so on. And the opposite side, it's the same. These packets are, are not marked normally, but we know where it's coming from, and we will mark it again and send it back to the hub site in order that the hub site knows, okay, this packet is coming from here. Okay, so this is, again, a lot of work for the customer. He has to configure multiple VLANs. This is not a big problem, but he has to do some work, and he has to know that he cannot just connect to this network and it's working. He has to do some work for that. This is really important. And another thing which is really important, the most important point, this site must be on net, means we have to connect this site to our own network over fiber. Reason for that is that we have to put in some equipment here to provide this capability for the VLANs and so on. So that's the reason we have to be on net here. Okay. As I already said, the bandwidth for the hub, it's 100, 1 gig or 10 gig. We have to define that. And for the spokes is from 2 meg to 1 gig. The access methods are, well, more or less the same as for the point-to-point. So you can go for online, OLOS, URL. That's all possible. Okay?
Okay.
Good. So more in detail. So you see that the hub has to mark the packets with VLAN IDs, as I already said, to connect to the branch sites. Okay. We have two tagging methods. You see that in the next slide. But one thing who is already in discussion between customer and us, are we able to do so-called double tagging? Means Q and Q, and Q and Q means that as he has to use VLAN to talk to a certain site, VLAN is blocked, so he cannot mark that to separate other networks if needed. But we allow the so-called Q and Q, so you can, in addition to that, he can mark the packets or additional packets to divide some networks for his own, not just to mark where to go, but to do some segmentation of the line. So this is possible. If a customer is asking Q and Q or double tagging, it's the same. It's possible with hub and spoke.
Okay.
Yeah, you see that more in detail. This is the traffic from the spoke to the hub. So this is the hub. These are the spokes. If a spoke sends, in addition to the marking for so this is coming from Colt. Colt is marking, well, this is coming from this colored site, and in addition to that, the customer is marking some other VLANs here, these yellow ones. And we will bring that into the network and divide that into different VLANs on the customer sides. So at the end, he has untagged traffic, which is that one. He has yellow traffic, a little bit, well, this is yellow and this is more orange. Okay, let's say that's orange. So we have 3 different traffics on the hub side marked with, I don't know the color name. What's the color in English for that?
Purple or something like that.
Purple, yes, exactly. So the purple one is saying it's the branch A, and the other ones is just for the customer to divide the network. So this is possible with Q&Q, just to show you that. It's in the same way it's going to be on the other side. Okay, this tag will be removed, so the customer will see here only this yellow and orange and untagged packet. And in the other direction, Colt will mark that again in order that the hub side knows, okay, this is going to be the VLAN for site A. The same for B and C, of course. You see this green and brown, so this is the same here. It's a little bit complicated maybe if you see it like that, but in general, this doesn't happen that much. Okay. Well, this is another way to tag. Let me just see how to explain that. Well, yes, this is going to be separated directly. So we have this purple traffic on a separate VLAN and this other traffic as well. So that means we don't have a double tagging here. We have just the tagging here presented here. So we know that, for example, this yellow one is belonging to this side. So we'll just send all the yellow traffic to site A, and we do some internal tagging to know that. But there is no more this second tag. So this is another possibility for the customer. This is with dual tagging, so we have the marking for the VLAN itself and the customer markings, and here we have just the customer marking to separate his networks, and we know where to send it. So this is just to say we have multiple colors here or multiple VLANs for one side, and we define that together with the customer. That could be, as example, that the customer tell us for branch A, I need VLAN 107, 109, and 207, and we will configure that. And as soon as we see this tagging, we'll just send the traffic to this, and we will let the tagging in.